Okay, can you see the newspaper? Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Check.
Yes, sir.
Check. Here there is an article related to the Indian Express, which says that nothing beats the feeling of reading a physical newspaper. Yes, it's true. Anyways, going to the today's newspaper. Supreme Court was told a blatant lie that I am a free man. Why I am being stopped? So Congress leader Saifuddin Sood speaks to reporters from across the boundary wall of his residence before being pulled away in Srinagar. So Congress leader, that is Saifuddin Sood, was detained by the police, and Supreme Court, as per him, Supreme Court was told a blatant lie that he is a free man. So says barred from moving out and free to go where he wants, says the Jammu and Kashmir administration. So here we can see there is a news here that a day after Supreme Court disposed a petition by Saifuddin Sood's wife over his illegal detention, accepting the government submission that he was under the no restriction, the Jammu and Kashmir Congress leader was stopped by the police as he tried to move out of his house in Srinagar. So you know that there is one article in the fundamental rights chapter of the Indian Constitution, which what you can say allows people to move any part of the country, right? And again, there is one writ petition which can be filed for illegal detention of a person of any citizen of India. So, and can anybody tell me which fundamental right or which writ petition can be filed into the Supreme Court if any person is illegally detained? Which fundamental illegally detained?
22, sir.
Okay, so
Article 32.
32.
now, under Article 32, you can file a, what you can say, you can directly go to the
It's
Supreme
22,
Court.
sir.
But which writ petition can be filed? The name of the
Article
petition.
Article 21 or
22. 22.
Yeah, that's fine. Article 22. Yeah, under Article 22, no person can be illegally detained for more than 24 hours. And if it is someone is what you can say detained, then he should be produced in front of the.
Sir, habeas corpus.
Yeah, that is called habeas corpus. The name of the writ petition which can be filed by the Supreme Court is called as habeas corpus. Fine, no problem. So here we can see that a wife of the Congress leader Saifuddin Sood has filed a case into the or petition into the Supreme Court, and he has been said that the Supreme Court says that in the government submission that he was under no restriction. The Kashmir Congress leader was stopped by the police as he tried to move out of his house in Srinagar. As media persons watched, police personnel pulled away the 83-year-old as he talked from behind a wall mounted by a barbed wire around his house. So the picture is also given here. So that is what is mentioned. So you just read it out because, as I told you, that whenever fundamental rights are always violated by the state, the Supreme Court is there to intervene, because if anyone's fundamental right is violated, the Supreme Court intervenes in that. So that is what is explained here. So as per he is saying that it was lied into the Supreme Court that he is a free man. But if he is a free man, then why am I being stopped? That is what is his question here. Right hand side, there is one more article about the India-China relations. That is, China NY pushes Pangong claim. India says pullback not over. So the China's ambassador, China's what is the diplomatic officer, he says he pushes that the Pangong Dam is under the China. India says pullback not over, because we have seen that there were news in the past week that both the countries have pulled back their armies, but India says the pullback is not completely over. So Ambassador Sun points to Chinese claim line on contested north bank of lake. So pushing his country's claim to Pangong, so where Chinese troops came in 8 km west of the point, which India says marks the line of actual control. Sun Weidong, Beijing's ambassador to New Delhi, Thursday said China's traditional customary boundary line is in accordance with the LAC on the north bank of the lake. So India says that they have intruded 8 km inside the line of actual control, while China says it is the same boundary line which is in accordance with the LAC. That is what they think. So he rejected suggestions that China has expanded its territorial claim at Pangong Tso. The ambassador made these remarks ahead of the 5th round of talks between corps of commanders of the two armies, expected to take place in the next few days. So you read it out. We are saying that there is a lot of clashes. There are a lot of what you can say the tension going on between India and China on the line of actual control. So you can check it out here. So read this article to just get in situation what is happening on the line of actual control. Okay. So here Sonia Gandhi has taken a meeting of the Congress party where she is saying that the Congress veterans say look within, young MPs say start with yourself. UPA 2. That is what is explained here. Then going to the next page, we will directly go to the editorial page where the new education policy information is given. The editorial on that. Okay, here there is one article on the privatization of the Indian economy that is mentioned here that India private sector has key role in manufacturing vaccines, says FUCI, that is Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci. So we know that vaccine manufacturing is, or what you can say, going to be started in India. So he says that India's private sector, that private sectors in India can play a key role in manufacturing of the COVID-19 vaccine. So you have to read this article to just understand what is India's capacity in terms of pharmaceutical production, because India is considered as one of the best country in the world where we have what we consider capacity to manufacture the drugs. Today's editorial is related to the new education policy. Okay, so the new policy, the test is old. The policy might be new, but the test will be old itself. And what is that test? Whether this new policy will meet the or will address the issues of the education system in India or not. So National Education Policy, that is NEP, stress on reforms is welcome. It will be tested on campus and in classroom where deep fault lines lies. So here it is mentioned that the current education policy was drafted in the 1980s. It underwent modification in 1992, but that was when the liberalization of the economy was barely out of policy books. So the importance of the digital sphere wasn't recognized beyond specialist circles. The democratic dividend was secretly talked about, and the Right to Education Act was decade and a half away from entering the statute book. So that is what is mentioned here. Okay, so the importance of the digital, that is what is mentioned here, that the Right to Education Act was also passed in the last decade. So the new education policy announced by the government on Wednesday is just a long overdue. It has been in the remarking for nearly 5 years and reports of the two committees. So two committees have been set up to decide about the new education policy. One was under the TSR Subramanian committee in 2016 and the K Kasturi Rangan committee last year, right? So TSR Subramanian was a cabinet secretary of India once upon a time, and he's a retired IAS officer, and a committee was set up under his the chairmanship, and one more committee was put up under the chairmanship of K Kasturi Rangan. So both of them have put up some recommendations, so have informed the final draft. So the draft has been created with the recommendation of both of these committees. The challenge before its framer was not just to respond the dynamics of the knowledge economy, but also to reckon with the milieu in the pedagogy has become deeply politicized. To its credit, the policy does not bear too heavy an imprint of the deeply polarized political climate in which it has been finalized. So we know that currently in India there is a complete, what you can say, the political polarization. Political polarization means what? Whether we should go for what you can say the ancient culture, or whether we should go for the new culture, whether we go for the science, or whether we should go for the Ayurveda, whether we should go for the allopathic knowledge or not, whether we should have education in mother tongue or whether we should have education in what you can say the foreign languages. So there are various views on that, and again the people views are completely polarized. Like, so the people have a kind of what you can say extreme views on such type of what you can say the education system in India. So the NEP proposes the extension of the right to education to all children up to the age of 18, but it is also alive to the criticism that while mandating accessibility, the RTE Act paid short shift to learning outcomes. So you can say that under the RTE Act, it was mandatory for the state to provide the free and compulsory education, but I can see whether that education is having the learning outcome or not. So rather than focusing more on the learning outcome under the RTA, it was focused more on what you can say enrolling the students. It was focused more on what you can say increasing the number of the enrollment rather than focusing on the learning outcome of the students. So it talks about improving fundamental foundational literacy and numeracy, then deficits in which have been underlined by several ASER reports. So we have seen that ASER reports. Anyone remember? I have already discussed about this ASER report. Anyone knows what is the full form of the ASER? What is this ASER report? All of you know. If you don't know what is ASER report, you have to go and check it out. What is this ASER report today? Right. So that ASER reports have submitted that it has underlined that the foundational literacy and numeracy, like even the students who have completed the SSC or who have completed 8th, 9th, 10th standard, they are also not able to solve some basic numerical problem and some basic what you can say writing and communication skill, like foundational literacy. They were not even able to write in appropriate way in their own mother tongue, what you can say live about English, right? So that is what is mentioned here, that key deficits in which have been underlined by several ASER reports. There were two foundational deficits. One is about the literacy and the numeracy, and underlines the importance of pedagogical and technological intervention to scale down the learning crisis. It proposes a range of measures that aim to make education more experimental, second, holistic, discovery oriented, and learner centered and enjoyable, including the move to make the mother tongue or the local language the medium of instruction. So again, we can see there are again a lot of debates over it, whether we should go for the education in mother tongue or whether we should go for the English education. It is welcome that children will be given more choice of subjects and there will be no hard separation among arts, humanities, and sciences. In higher education too, it does well to envisage the breaking of boundaries between the disciplines and transforming institutions into large multidisciplinary universities and colleges. That is actually required. Multidisciplinary universities and multidisciplinary colleges are required. Even an art student should also be able to learn science, and a science student should also have a knowledge regarding the arts. So it would be a multidisciplinary approach where you can say that the boundary line, the hard boundary line between the humanities subjects and the science subjects will be what you can say, it will be reduced. Yet enormous challenge remain. The policy recognizes, for instance, that vibrant campus life is essential for high quality teaching learning processes. But if developments in some of the country's premier universities, that is JNU and Jamia Millia Islamia, for instance, are indication the campus promise as a space that nurtures critical thought, political argument, and debate is increasingly embattled. New education policies claim will also come up against a sharpening of fault line. India's digital divide that has been highlighted and deepened by the COVID pandemic. So as we have already discussed about this issue, that there are many students in India, there are many people in India, there are many what we consider children in India who do not have access to mobile and internet. And because of this digital divide, like those who have the access to the digital, what you consider a digital space, and those who do not have access to the digital space, then obviously there is a digital divide that. So those students or those children who do not have access to digital, what you can say the instruments and digital, what you can say the education, then obviously there will be an inequality, education inequality. That is what is mentioned here. So it has underlined, it has what you can say, it has what you can say underlined or highlighted the deepening what you can say the digital divide due to the COVID pandemic. As an ongoing series of the reports in this paper during the lockdown have highlighted, the classroom itself is under pressure like never before. Disparities between the rich and poor, urban and rural, show up strikingly in access to digital tools. If technology is a force multiplier in some cases, in another it is inaccessible. The looming economic distress is playing out harshly in schools, with students dropping out, their parents out of work and unable to pay fees, teachers not being paid their dues, Surely these are beyond the NAP's remit, but the test of the policy is on the ground. So not just a paper. With largest number of young and poor in the world, the task is cut out. So India has one of the largest number of the young people in the world, the poor in the world, and obviously the task is challenging. So although government has tried to, what we can say, reform the education system by having some of the policy intervention, but the challenges are still there. The old taste, what is that old taste that you can see here? The digital divide is also there. Access to education is also a problem. Then dropout rate is also a problem. And here we can say that many people, many, what you can say, the parents are out of their work. They are not having any jobs. And obviously they are unable to pay the fees. Teachers are not being paid off their dues. So obviously in such situation, although in spite of having such, what you can say, the big reforms in the education system, the basic problems cannot be solved without, what we can say, without trying to be addressing these particular problems of the Indian education system. That is what is mentioned in the today's editorial. So if you have any doubts about the yesterday's, or if you want to discuss something about yesterday's new education policy, you can ask me. Yes, any doubts? Yes, Ritika.
No, sir.
Okay, can anybody tell me what were the features of the yesterday's new education policy? What were the important highlights, or what were the important features of the national education policy which was published yesterday, or which has been given an approval of the cabinet yesterday? Yes, anyone has read or anyone remember what were the important features of those national education policy?
So mainly the board examine, the key points that were given in yesterday's newspaper were board exams are made easier. Breakfast are to be added in midday meals. Whenever possible, medium of instruction in mother tongue. And in higher education, the key changes are entry of foreign universities, 4-year bachelors and Higher Education Commission of India to replace UGC, MPhil to be discontinued.
Okay, so there will be one monitoring agency, regulating agency, instead of UGCs and different types of, what you can say, the regulator. Like we know that in India now, different regulators are there for different streams. So there will be a common education regulatory, that is the education commission. Why? Because again, we are going to have an interdisciplinary approach, right? That is one of the reasons for that. And one more thing, do you really think, can we give education to the students in India in their mother tongue?
That is not possible, I think.
Why? What is the problem in providing the education in mother tongue?
There's so much of diversity that catering to everybody's mother tongue or catering to everybody's interest would be difficult.
Yeah, there are some languages in India. You're right, Ritika. There are some languages in India who do not even have the script. Like they speak in that language, but they do not have script for that language. So how will you give the education to those people whose mother tongue is completely different? Like for example, you know, there are some languages like in Maharashtra, there is one language called Konkani. So Konkani do not have their own script. They learn Konkani, or they study Konkani. They use the Devanagari script for writing Konkani as well. So what do you think? What should be the solution for that? What solution the national education policy has given to this particular problem? Because in India, there are 1,500, more than 1,500 languages are spoken by the Indians. So is it possible to give that is modern education, sorry, that the education in India in the mother tongue to everyone?
A common language should be used, not a mother tongue.
It
Which
can
one
be
common?
given in regional language also, no, sir?
So regional, that is what I'm saying. There are more than 1,500 languages in India. Right,
Sir,
as Ritika
It's
is
better to
saying
give in English
that
only.
we should have a common language. So which common language would you like to have, Ritika? Is it Bengali?
No, sir. Hindi is
It's better to be in
spoken by
English.
everybody.
So
Sir, we can give education in national or international languages, but we can add regional languages also for basic knowledges.
So
in
that is what
every
I'm saying.
area.
That is what I'm saying. So which language it should be? Like as Ritika is saying, there should be a common language. So whether it should
Sir,
be
there
English
are
or whether
as
it should
a
be a
national
Hindi,
language or
English.
international.
national language.
Yes, sir.
So do you think that suppose if you start giving education in national language, like which is national language of India? No?
Sir, Hindi?
Sure. Are you sure Hindi is a national
Yes,
language?
sir. Yes, sir.
ठीक है. Yes, सौरभ जी क्या कहते हो, हिंदी नेशनल लैंग्वेज है?
नो सर, भारत का कोई नेशनल लैंग्वेज नहीं है शायद.
इंडिया की कोई नेशनल लैंग्वेज नहीं है आनंद. There is no national language of
Yes, sir.
India. As
Official.
Okay.
yeah, it is an official language. Yes, Hindi and
Yes, sir.
English are the official languages of the union government again. And
Yes,
again,
sir.
and respective states have again their own official languages. Like for example, in Bengal, West Bengal, Bengali and English are both the official languages. In Maharashtra, Marathi and English are both the official languages. In Karnataka, Kannada and English are the official languages. In UP, Hindi and English is again, and again Urdu is also an official language in UP. In some of the states, Urdu is also an official language. Right? So which one
Yes,
should we
sir.
go for? Like whether we should go for Hindi or whether we should go for English or whether we should go for Bengali, Tamil, Marathi, which one?
Sir, English is suitable.
I think sir it is optional, depend upon the student.
No, agar suppose depend upon the student, agar if the government is not providing education in that language, then student do not have any other option than joining that medium. अगर गवर्नमेंट अगर वो उस लैंग्वेज में पढ़ा ही नहीं रही है, तो डू यू थिंक लाइक नाउ सपोज माय मदर टंग इज like my mother tongue is Dogri, so will you give me education in Dogri? If suppose in like in many regions of Maharashtra, like Konkani is the language of the people, but there is no education available in Konkani language in Maharashtra, so they do not have any other option than rather than joining Marathi. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
If the government decides that we should have the education in this particular language only, so it is like forcible, like that is what is mentioned here. There is one word mentioned here, which mentioned is that let me check it out. What is mentioned here? That is one word used about the forcing the student to go for that particular language only. Because if the language if the education is not available in their language, then they are forced to go to that language, right? Actually, yes. So for this, there is one solution which I have read in yesterday. I don't know. I haven't read it in newspaper yesterday. I was little, we can say, I was not able to read the yesterday's newspaper. But whatever I have read it on the WhatsApp, I came to know that the government has decided to go for, what I can say, creating the curriculum in 8 major languages of India. Not 8 major languages. So 8 major languages. Which are those 8 major languages in India? Like Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Bengali. Right, so there are 8 like Assamese, so they have decided to go for giving education in 8 major languages of India. Fine. Why 8 major languages? Because these are the languages which are spoken by majority of the population, so obviously it will be very difficult to cater to all the what you can say the languages in India. But anyways, you need to see both what are the fault lines lies in the new class in the new education policies, because
But sir,
yes.
sir, I feel this is also a problem because till class 5, they're saying you'll have to
One
they
second,
teach in mother tongue.
Yeah, one
Yes,
second,
sir.
Pratik. I have a call. Sorry, am I audible? Yes, Ritika. So what you are saying?
So I was saying till class 5, they're saying that education must be given in mother tongue.
Yeah.
But again, I feel that is a problem because then it becomes a problem for students to pick up English language. English as a medium of exchange, and later English becomes a very important part of life. Everywhere it is mainly we are using this language, and then it becomes a problem for the students who are studying in specific language schools. So that is what I'm saying, that might also be a problem.
Yeah, but that is again two sides of argument, Ritika. Like there are many people also believe that only speaking English cannot be a, what you can say, the test of knowledge, because there are many people like who are not
Absolutely.
able to speak in who are not able to speak in English, but in spite of they can learn it faster than their own mother tongue rather than learning it in English. There are two sides of argument. Like there are many cases also where we can say that the student may be able to communicate well in English, but it doesn't mean that if he is able to communicate well in English, doesn't mean that he has a knowledge. Like take my example. Like take my example. Like I had my like primary education in vernacular medium till 10th standard.
Yes, sir.
Right. So there are again two sides of argument. Yes, you are right. Yes, of course, that is also an issue. If you are not able to, what you can say,
What happens is you're pressurized. If
yeah,
you're
it
pressurized,
should be,
you don't
yeah,
know that language.
yeah, that is what I'm saying. It should
That
be left to the people whether they want to go for the English medium or they want to go for their mother tongue. And there are many examples also, like those who have studied from the English medium since their what you can say the primary education, they have performed well. That these are like, you cannot say that कि English वालों को कुछ नहीं आता है, ऐसे भी हम कह नहीं सकते. You cannot say that कि those who learn from the English medium, they do not know anything. And it is also not like those who have learned from the like vernacular medium or the mother tongues, they are also like, it depends. So there should not be any forcefulness. That's what you are supposed to say. Like if you force student to take their education in mother tongue till 5th standard, then obviously it will be more arbitrariness.
Yes, sir.
People should have the choices. People should have the choices whether they want to go for like vernacular medium or whether they want to go for the English medium.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because like nowadays you can see, because the right-wing politicians or right-wing politics says that we should focus more on Sanskrit language. So can you give the education in Sanskrit language now? Like can you learn physics, chemistry, biology, or sociology in Sanskrit languages? But there are many people who argue that Sanskrit is one of the best languages. There's no doubt Sanskrit is one of the best languages in the world. But at the same time, the knowledge which is there in the Sanskrit, because that knowledge has stagnated, because Vedas were from 4,500 years back. So there is no, what you can say, updation. There was no, what you can say, the changes in that literature. That is the issue here. So that is what there is a conflicting, right? Conflicting means what, whether we should go for the mother tongue or whether we should go for the English medium. That is again a conflict. So you should have your own view on that. But anyways, so the problem is not about which language you should learn. The problem is not about, that is what should be whether the board exam should be there or not, whether there shall be, what you can say, the interdisciplinary approach or not. The basic problem is that there are many people in India who are not able to send their child to the school. There are many issues like digital divide, which I have discussed now. There are like rural-urban divide, like rural schools are not at par with the urban schools, right? So the education quality in the urban areas is far better than in the rural areas. So obviously, those people who are living in the rural areas, they do not have the access to have a quality education. So this rural-urban divide, the digital divide, right? So these are the basic problems. These are the basic issues of the India that is still not solved in this new education policy. That is what is mentioned here. And that is what is mentioned here, that with the largest number of young and poor in the world, like both, we also have young number of people in the world, but at the same time, we also have the largest number of the poor in the world. So the task is cut out. It's a very, very, what you can say, मतलब ये बहुत ही, like, you know, it's like you are moving on a kind of, what you can say, the इधर खाई और उधर कुआं, ऐसे इस तरीके का सिचुएशन है यहाँ पर. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's what you need to write, sir. So cut this article, put it in paper. Two topic, that is education. जो topic है उस topic में आपको ये करना है. Fine. ठीक है. Right hand side there is one more article written by Kumkum Roy. Educating India, National Education Policy 2020 needs a close scrutiny, a full debate for what it says and what it doesn't. So again, you have to cut this article, put this in your paper 2 topic education. So that is what is mentioned here, that the new education policy 2020 needs a close scrutiny and a full debate for what it says and what it doesn't. So while there is a running refrain of autonomy and choices in document, this is circumscribed at crucial junctures, because now new education policy focusing more on the autonomy of the education institute. So let them decide what should be taught and what should not be taught. So people will decide whether I should go to this education system or not, right? So more autonomy should be there for the education system. That is what is mentioned here. The selection of vocational subject in middle school is described as a fun choice. At the same time, it is to be exercised as decided by states and local communities and mapped by the local skill needs. That is NEP 4.8. Further up in the scheme of things is the National Testing Agency, which we learn will serve as a premier expert and autonomous testing organization to conduct entrance examinations in higher educational institutions. For higher educational institutions like MBBS or engineering, so here there will be a separate national testing agency which will have the entrance test. This is expected to be means of drastically reducing the burden on students, universities and colleges and the entire education system. So that is what is explained here. So you read this article. It is an analysis of the new education policy, both positive as well as the negative. So you read this article. Tomorrow, if you have any doubts about this article, you can ask, right? And you have to cut this article and put it in paper 2, topic in education. Fine. Check here. There is one more important article, that is fighting the infodemic. Infodemic, pandemic is there, but also we have an infodemic. Infodemic means what? People are giving very wrong information, what you can say, the fault information to the people in this COVID-19. That is what is mentioned here. And there are some also problems related to the data of the COVID-19 patient. That is what is mentioned here. A unified database of COVID-19 patients would streamline immediate responses and warn of future effects. So that is what is explained here. So just read this article related to the problems of the data of the COVID-19 pandemic in India. So the biggest challenge that pandemic has presented to health professionals and policy makers is lack of standardized information. Amidst an infodemic means where the information is not available, the world wasted valuable time in pursuit of off-label miracle cures, ranging from a malaria drug to vermifuse. Like there are many people who claim themselves that we will cure this, what you can say, cure this disease. So because of this, that is what is mentioned here, that because of the lack of the information, the people have wasted a lot of time in what you can say in pursuit of off-label miracle cures ranging from malaria drug to vermifuse on the basis of the questionable or indifferent reports. Many reported results that would have been treated as an anecdotal, where the world not in crisis mode. So that is what is explained here. And even now, the long-term effects of the novel coronavirus remains in the realm of the conjuncture. Physicians are repeatedly calling for caution as they report numerous anecdotal cases of the recovered patients who return months after recovery with damage to organs not ordinarily affected by respiratory viruses and vascular effects, including strokes. A unified database is essential for tracking patients over the long term for their own safety. The propagate successful intervention globally to examine how the virus may interact with other factors like genetic makeup, and that is what is explained. So just read it out, this article. I guess 1 minute is left. The meeting will end. You please join again by using the same link, and we'll discuss the idea page, and we will also discuss about the economics page today. So please join again by using the same link.